I want to now revisit a topic that I've talked about before, but it's just been heavily weighing on my mind, and I got to revisit it. So that is Ezekiel Elliott. If you don't know, Ezekiel Elliott, the Dallas Cowboys running back, is holding out. He's choosing not to practice or play until he gets a new contract. And it's such a complicated situation. There are so many arguments to be made for either side. And really it's come down to whether or not, should the Dallas Cowboys give Ezekiel Elliott a new contract or should they not? And it's obviously in the best interest of the player to get paid, to get more money. But there are some reasons why it's in the best interest of the Cowboys to not pay him. And you're kind of at a standstill, like, now what? Where do we go from here? And so first I want to talk about, from Ezekiel Elliott's perspective, you can argue that Ezekiel Elliott should be paid because he's one of the best running backs in the entire NFL. He can run through arm tackles. He's really shifty in open space. He can make guys miss. He can pass block. He can catch passes. He contributes to the Dallas Cowboys offense in so many ways. And the stats support the claim that he's one of the best running backs in the entire NFL. In my opinion, it's him or Saquon, right? Him or Saquon Barkley. They're like the top two, and then there's a bunch of others right around there. But if you look at in the last 3 years, Ezekiel Elliott in the last 3 years has led the NFL in rushing 2 of the last 3 seasons. In 2016, he led the NFL in rushing with 1,631 yards. And that year, in his rookie year, 2016, he also led the NFL in rushing attempts with 322. And he was the only guy with over 300 rushing attempts. That means he was getting hit a ton in 2016, his rookie year. Now, in 2017, he was 10th in rushing, but that's because he only played 10 games. He missed the first 6 because of a suspension. But in spite of that, he actually still led the NFL in yards per game with over 98 yards per game. And the assumption is that if Ezekiel Elliott had played the entire 2017 season, he would, in fact, have led the NFL in rushing. Now, in 2018, last year, he led the NFL in rushing again, for it almost would have been a third year in a row. He had 1,434 yards, 304 rushing attempts, which again made him the only person with over 300 rushing attempts in the entire NFL. So, man, I look at Ezekiel Elliott and go, man, this guy's getting used a bunch. He's taking a bunch of hits. And he's also contributing a lot to the Cowboys offense. He had 77 catches last year in 2018. He's a big part of their offense. So you could argue, to me, again, I think the 2 best running backs in the NFL are Saquon Barkley or Ezekiel Elliott. I think if you were like building a franchise now, you might take Saquon Barkley because he's a little bit younger, taking a few less hits. But man, they are neck and neck. And you can, again, if he's either the best or one of the best running backs in the league, Ezekiel Elliott is. But he's not paid like he's one of the best running backs in the NFL. Ezekiel Elliott is not paid market value. So Todd Gurley, the Rams running back, is making over $14 million a year. The Jets running back, Le'Veon Bell, is making over $13 million a year. And Ezekiel Elliott's average salary is just over $6 million. So again, he's performing at the top of all NFL running backs. Ezekiel Elliott is. But he is not at all getting paid like that. He's not getting paid a market value. Additionally, he also only has 2 years left on his contract. There is not a long-term deal in place to take care of Ezekiel Elliott. And I understand why a running back would want long-term guarantees financially. Running back is the hardest. I think running back and offensive line are the 2 hardest positions on your body in football. Running backs get beat to crap. They get beat up a ton. So I do not blame him that he wants a new contract. I understand his perspective when he says, man, I want more money. I want to be paid. But what if you're the Cowboys? Should the Cowboys pay him? Does it make sense for them? First of all, teams, a lot of people have weighed in and said they're concerned about the guy's off-the-field issues, right? In 2017, Zeke was suspended 6 games for domestic violence. That's not cool, dude. That is unacceptable. He's also been in trouble again this offseason. He's had some kind of incident with a bouncer at a nightclub. There's also a rumor that he crashed into a car and it was covered up. A lot of people feel like they cannot trust Zeke. And that, I understand that perspective as well. And others even say that it's really disrespectful for Ezekiel Elliott to be holding out and not joining the Dallas Cowboys at practice. If you look at the past of what's happened with Ezekiel Elliott, the Cowboys owner, Jerry Jones, stuck his neck out to help him when the guy got in trouble. Zeke has been bailed out multiple times. And even if not bailed out, he's had the support of his owner in the past. His owner is stuck by the guy and helped him. And some view Zeke holding out as a gigantic middle finger to one of his biggest supporters throughout his years in the NFL. And so it makes sense to me why people are hesitant to trust him. And, Zeke is somewhat of a headache. And you can really argue that, man, holding out is another example of the guy causing more trouble. So what we've established is that Ezekiel Elliott has been kind of a pain in the butt off the field. But he's also not paid market value. He's not paid like one of the best running backs in the NFL. But here is the biggest complication to me in this entire thing. It comes down to money. The Cowboys' salary cap. As you may know, there's only so much money to go around. There's not unlimited money to spend paying players on your team. And according to overthecap.com's salary cap calculator, the Cowboys will have around $74.5 million of salary cap room in 2020 next year. So next offseason, the Cowboys will have $74.5 million to spend paying their players and signing guys. It's a big problem because a lot of the Cowboys starters are going to become free agents next year. Number one, their quarterback, Dak Prescott, he's making $2 million this year in 2019. That's absurd. It's ridiculous. According to market value, he is massively underpaid. And I think when he does get paid, Dak Prescott's going to get paid around $30 million a year. It's going to land him just above guys like, and he should get paid more than guys like Jimmy Garoppolo and Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins makes around 28. Jimmy Garoppolo makes around 27.5. I think Dak Prescott can ask for more than those two guys, and it makes complete sense to me. He's won more and been more successful and had more starts than Jimmy Garoppolo easily. In fact, I think it would be kind of a criminal offense if it would certainly be a slap in the face if the Dallas Cowboys didn't want to pay Dak Prescott more than Jimmy Garoppolo, because Jimmy Garoppolo's done very little and has a gigantic contract. So one, the Cowboys got to pay their quarterback. But they have a bunch of other guys they're going to have to pay this offseason too. Amari Cooper, their wide receiver, he's making $13.9 million in 2019. He's going to become a free agent. Corner Byron Jones, who makes $6.2 million this year. He's going to become a free agent. Other guys that are going to become free agents. Defensive end Robert Quinn, $8 million in 2019. Right tackle La'el Collins will be a free agent after this year. He's making $7.5 million this year. Linebacker Jalen Smith will be a free agent. He makes $1.3 million in 2019. I am sure he's going to want to raise. Not to mention, wide receiver Randall Cobb will be a free agent at the end of this year. He makes $5 million a year. Now, my best guess is that the Cowboys are not going to re-sign Randall Cobb. They signed him this offseason to a one-year deal, knowing that they'd probably have him for a short amount of time. He agreed to the deal because he wasn't getting any big long-term contracts. He's coming off a year with a lot of injuries. And so, Randall Cobb is looking at the Cowboys as a stepping stone where he can come play really well and get a better contract somewhere else. And the Cowboys are looking at it as, sure, we'll be used by Randall Cobb. We'll take your service cheaper than normal for 1 year. So you can have a 1 year contract, get out of here and get more money somewhere else. So again, the Cowboys, I do not believe, are planning to re-sign Randall Cobb. But let's do the math. First, you're going to have to pay Dak Prescott. That's $30 million a year. Then Amari Cooper wants to be paid. And let's just say we give Amari Cooper $15 million. I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'm not even affiliated with the Cowboys at all. But let's just say the Cowboys give him $15 million a year. And that's actually below market value for wide receiver now that that guy for, what's his name? That $100 million deal was signed by the Saints wide receiver. So, but let's just assume the Cowboys can get away with paying Amari Cooper $15 million a year. 30 plus 15 is $45 million a year out of the 74.5 they're going to have to spend. Then you got to pay Byron Jones. Market value for Byron Jones is around $12 million a year. Let's say you pay him $10 million a year, give him a long-term contract, high bonuses, or high guarantees. And that's a conservative estimate, by the way. But now we're at $55 million. You paid Dak Prescott, Byron Jones, and Amari Cooper. Then you pay Robert Quinn the $8 million he made last year, he's making this year. So pay Robert Quinn $8 million, pay Lyle Collins $8 million, 55 plus 16, $71 million, and you still got more guys to pay. You got to play Jalen Smith. Paying Jalen Smith, a really talented, growing linebacker, you say you pay him $4.5 million a year. Now you're at $75.5 million, and you have no salary cap. You're over the cap. You can't even pay that much money to all your guys. And you don't have any money to spend paying your backups, guys who are on minimum salaries, because they're guys who need to fill out the rest of your roster. The Cowboys don't have enough money to go around to pay all their guys the value they're going to require and command. So my best guess is that, the Cowboys are not going to re-sign, Randall Cobb. They're going to let him walk. And I think they're also going to let Robert Quinn go. Robert Quinn is 29. He'll be 30 next year. He's a good defensive end. I think they're going to let him walk away because they have DeMarcus Lawrence. But you can't re-sign everybody. You can't re-sign Dak Prescott, Byron Jones, Amari Cooper, Lyle Collins, Jalen Smith, and also give Ezekiel Elliott a new contract. You can't keep everybody. You're going to have to pick and choose. Who do the Cowboys want moving forward? If they re-sign Ezekiel Elliott, there's not going to be enough money to go around. So the Cowboys will be presented with a difficult situation and a difficult decision. Do you re-sign your running back? Or do you keep some of your other young core players? It's a really tough decision. So one option for the Cowboys moving forward is they could trade Ezekiel Elliott, and that would solve actually a lot of their problems. I said once, I'm gonna renege something I said. I said something silly. I once said that only an idiot would trade Ezekiel Elliott. I think that was a bit harsh. What I said was, I said that on principle, right? There's a couple running backs in the NFL that are just top of the line. Guys like Todd Gurley, Saquon Barkley, Le'Veon Bell, Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley. These are guys who are at the top of their game. And on principle, I said, these are guys you pay. They're special. You want them on your team. I said you pay those guys at the very top, those top couple running backs that are special. And then everybody else is just a guy. Most running backs are interchangeable, but the top couple guys are guys you pay. And I still have that belief. However, I cannot fail to acknowledge that trading Ezekiel Elliott would solve a lot of the problems that the Cowboys are facing financially coming up. It would clear a lot of cap space. Because not only would the Cowboys have, $74.5 million available of salary cap space, they would also have an additional $9 million. Because next year, they're supposed to pay Ezekiel Elliott $9 million. So if they cleared away that space as well by trading him now, they would have a lot more. They would have, $83.5 million available in salary cap space in 2020 next offseason. So trading away Ezekiel Elliott would hurt, but it would allow you to keep a lot of those players and build for your future by signing other guys. And I really think the Cowboys could trade Zeke for a first-round pick. A team like, a team with a young quarterback like the Bills or the Dolphins might trade for him. So you'll save money for the Cowboys if you trade Zeke away. You might get a first-round draft pick, and you'd build for your future by signing a lot of your other young budding stars. So when you look at the financial situation for the Dallas Cowboys, suddenly trading Zeke away makes a lot more sense. Not to mention, he's been a headache off the field. But there's also been a ton of reports, with the Cowboys that their fourth-round running back, Tony Pollard, guy from Memphis, has been playing really well, turning a lot of heads at running back. And so it looks like it's possible the Cowboys could be okay with Ezekiel Elliott gone. The Cowboys have a good offensive line. Tony Pollard is fine. He's suitable. Maybe he's an interchangeable running back, but interchangeable is still interchangeable. A lot of guys can run through big holes and get a couple of yards if the offensive line's really, really good. So the Cowboys could get rid of Zeke, right? The Cowboys could trade away Ezekiel Elliott. And they could also just wait. The Cowboys could just wait and see if Zeke comes back. Although there are reports now that Zeke has doubled down and will not come back until he has a new contract. So that's one option. One option is trade Zeke away. It solves a lot of your problems. It allows you to keep other guys like Byron Jones, Amari Cooper, Jalen Smith, Lyle Collins, all those guys. You can pay all of them if you don't pay Ezekiel Elliott. Because Ezekiel Elliott's going to ask for like $15, $16 million a year. He's going to say, I'm the best running back. I want to get paid more than Todd Gurley. Pay me $15 million a year. That's how much, if you're going to pay Ezekiel Elliott, it's looking like. So another option for the Cowboys is that it's possible that the Dallas Cowboys see this season as their year. So one option is trade Zeke away, build for your future. The other option is this. If you're the Dallas Cowboys and you evaluate your team, you go, okay, we have Dak Prescott, who's entering his 4th year as our Cowboys quarterback. Usually in year 4 or 5 is when quarterbacks make a big jump. Guys like Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Big Ben, all these quarterbacks made a big jump in their 4th or their 5th year. It looks like Dak Prescott could make that big jump now with new offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. They also have a really stout defense. Look at the Cowboys defense right now. They have DeMarcus Lawrence, Robert Quinn, Leighton Vander Esch, Sean Lee, Chidobe Awuzie, Byron Jones, Jalen Smith. The names go on and on. This Cowboys defense could be really special. And it is very possible if the Cowboys think this is the year they have a chance to win a Super Bowl, they might just throw caution to the wind and give Ezekiel Elliott the deal he wants to get him on the field as soon as possible. They might just say, screw the future. We don't care about, our future. We're going to take all our chips we're going to put all our chips on the table right now, go for broke and try to win a Super Bowl this year. That makes sense to me because it's also true. They could survive without Ezekiel Elliott. Tony Pollard maybe is good enough. I don't know. But you can get away without having a top-of-the-line running back if you have a really good offensive line, which they do. But it is undeniable that the Cowboys have a better chance of winning a Super Bowl if Zeke is on their roster. So there are two options right now that make the most sense to me if you're the Cowboys. Two options you have and two things you can do. You can't wait because he's not going to come back. Until you give him a new contract, it sounds like Zeke is just not going to come back. And by the way, my opinion is that that's stupid. If Zeke doesn't come back and just play and make money, you're an idiot because that's money you'll never get back. We saw Le'Veon Bell last year give up millions of dollars because he just never came and never played. Don't waste a chance to make a lot of money. That's silly to me. But because we're going to assume that Ezekiel Elliott's not going to come back, the Cowboys have two options. One is trade away Ezekiel Elliott for like a first-round pick. You can sign all your guys, and you can build for the future if you're the Cowboys. The other option the Cowboys have is sign him now and go for a Super Bowl. Screw the future. If you think this is your year and you're the Dallas Cowboys, give him a contract and go try to win a Super Bowl. This issue, man, has been so tough. I know that my channel name is Strong Opinion Sports. The name of the show is Strong Opinion Sports. I found it really tough to have a strong opinion on this one because I was like, I'm stumped. Like, both options seem pretty good. And so my question now is, what would you guys do? I know a lot of passionate Cowboys fans are watching. I'm sure they've already commented there a paragraph-long opinion about why I'm wrong or why they hate me or something. But I am curious, what do people think is the right option here? What would you do? Is there something I'm missing? Maybe I'm overlooking something. I look at the situation as kind of a stalemate. I don't know how to move forward. And I'm curious to see what people would do if they were the Dallas Cowboys. Would you trade him? Build for the future? Would you re-sign him and go for a Super Bowl this year? Is the Super Bowl worth it for your future? I think so. I mean, give up your future. If you can win a Super Bowl now, do it. Pull the trigger, make it happen. So, I don't know. What would you do if you were the Dallas Cowboys? I'd love to hear it. My name is Zach Schomler. This is my podcast, Strong Opinion Sports. It is my favorite thing in the entire world. And you may not know, my dream when I graduate college eventually is to do this show as my full-time job. Now, I also want to be very upfront and honest about my plan and what's going on. I recently monetized my YouTube channel. What that means is that some of my videos make money through ad revenue. Now, it's fewer than you think. A lot of my videos get claimed. But in the past, I've received donations through the form of PayPal and Patreon.com. PayPal.me/Zach Schomler, Patreon.com/Zach Schomler. So because I'm making ad revenue, it felt weird to just get donations. I wanted to give something back to the people who support me on Patreon. So now there's a reward. If you support me on Patreon, you can submit questions at the dollar level or above. You just need to give $1 a month. If you do that, you can submit questions to a pool of questions where I look at. I'll read all the questions on Patreon, and I pick the top couple every episode and read them and answer them on a segment called Ask Zach. Pick the top couple questions and answer them at the end of every single episode. Now, that's for people who want to support me with money. If you have no money to give, I totally understand. I've actually never supported anybody on Patreon. I feel kind of weird about that. I'm a broke college kid myself. I totally understand. But if you believe in me and if you believe in my dream and still want to help me, one thing you can do is help me grow by telling your friends about Strong Opinion Sports. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Help me grow by telling your friends about Strong Opinion Sports. Guys, thank you so much. I know that was a long spiel. I really appreciate it, and hope you have a great day.